Hi, this is Steve Gamache with a Chef Knives to Go quick look product video on the Moritaka Aogami Super Supreme Series Petty 150mm knife. This line of knives has a core steel of Aogami or blue paper super carbon steel, and the heat treat rating on this is about 65 Rockwell, which is at the upper end of the hardness for this steel. And the construction is an iron cladding with a Kudauchi or blacksmith finish over the top of that core steel. These blades have a very difficult time visualizing or seeing with the naked eye the delineation between the core steel and the line for the cladding. It's just hard to see even with the naked eye, so it's really going to be difficult to see that on camera here. But the cladding line, some people had questions about whether they go all the way down to the edge. I've seen some of them get a little close to the edge, but they seem fairly uniform on the cladding line that I can tell. Again, it's really hard to tell just with the naked eye. I really like the KU finish on the Moritaka blades. They've got a kind of a smoothness to them. They're not super smooth, but they're not real rough like a lot of KU finishes are. So it's kind of a good balance between friction and non-stick characteristics to the knife. And these have a stamped kanji on them. The Moritaka blades have a stainless steel tang welded to the main blade for longer life. If you get any water in the blade, it won't rust, or the less chance of rusting, I should say. The weight on this knife is pretty light. It's 66 grams, 2.3 ounces, but it is a wah-handled smaller knife, so that's commensurate with that. The blade length is right around 150. These are all going to vary just a little bit on dimensions per knife because they're handmade. The overall length is about 10.6 inches for the entire blade. And the spine thickness at the heel or chin is where I measure it, is about 3.3 millimeters. And that seems thick, and yeah, it is right out of there, but most of these handmade knives, that tapers down pretty quickly, which this does. And the one characteristic of these Moritakas, they seem to have a nice kind of consistent distal taper all the way down the blade. And of course, it gets really skinny when you hit the grind into the tip. The height at this base or heel chin is about 30.2 millimeters. And the handle type on this is an octagonal ambidextrous, they call it U-wood handle with a buffalo horn ferrule. You've got a little bit of a bump here between the wood and the horn ferrule. It's nothing big. It's not a big deal, but all of them do exhibit this characteristic. You could sand it down if you wanted to. I don't. It doesn't impact me at all when I use it. I don't really feel it that much. The fit and finish on these is very, very good. The grinds are nice. They're quite thin at the edge. These are really thin at the edge for KU knives. This has a nice profile on it. The blade has a pretty long flat spot towards the heel area and then a gentle curve. Overall, these Moritakas are fairly flat profiled knives. And this is a very good performing blade. The tip is nice and thin, so it goes through ingredients very well. Really nice on brunoise shallots or going through smaller ingredients. It's just razor sharp. The out-of-the-box sharpness, speaking of that, was good. I'll give it about a 5 out of 10. The edge was pretty sharp. Didn't have a lot of bite or tooth on the edge as far as the actual edge bevel, so I went ahead and threw this on a Shapton Pro 1.5K stone very briefly and touched it up a little on some charged horse butt leather, and it really got nice and sharp with a good bite to it very quickly. So great steel to sharpen. So these are just really nice knives, and the fit and finish is quite good on them. Nice performing knives. They are one of the nicer KU knives, I think, on the site. And so there you have it. Just good all around, real nice performer. The Moritaka AS Supreme Petty 150mm knife.